John Green, FL Sales, Cleveland, Ohio. Thanks for your help with this. I have a foundry question for you. What's a sand reclaimer and what does it do?
Well, it depends on what you're reclaiming. The two basic types are what they call a mechanical reclaimer and a thermal reclaimer. And what you want to do is after you've made your mold and you've poured your hot metal, you have some metal that's infused into the sand grains. You've got depending on the process you use, you have catalysts and resins that that are attached to the sand grain. And you can't just use it over and over again, because what happens is, without getting too complicated, what happens is the resin builds up, the catalyst builds up, and you get different qualities when you retake that sand and make it into molds. So what people do is they reclaim the sand. And to mechanically reclaim sand, what they do is, the method I'm most familiar with is they'll take the sand and they'll blow it by air up to an impingement plate. The impingement plate will take and break the material off the sand, and the heavier material will flow down, the lighter material will go out to dust collection. It's a real simple explanation, but then your sand is cleaner.
So this sand is something that was, in the term of art, it was in a flask and it was used in forming a mold. So you've got this shape that you're making, right? Mm-hmm. And the sand goes around that, and then you get the shape out of there. So you've got this void. But if you just had regular sand, it'd collapse on itself. So these additives and these binders that they put into the sand help that sand retain its shape, so that when you pour the molten metal in, it stays like the part that you want it, right?
Correct. But and the thing is, you take and reuse that sand over and over again. It goes through the system and comes back, and you reuse it. So the more catalyst and buildup you have on it, it changes the properties the next time. And the third time, it changes them even more. So you have to get uniform properties each time you come in.
How many times can you do that to a pound of ton, a gallon of sand?
You're always adding new sand. You're always taking out what are called fines, which are when the sand breaks up and becomes too fine to use. That's a constant process. And in cases, this sand is used for years. It could be 10 or 20 years.
And the stuff that you pull out, is that a hazardous waste?
Depends on what you're pouring. And like a byproduct of brass is lead. You get lead in the sand. So yes, in that case. In steel foundries, you get heavy metals in the dust. So that's bad. Iron foundries typically don't have much of a problem. It all depends on what you're using in the process, whether you're using a green sand, a shell sand, a no-bake sand, or a resin type. And there's a lot of different processes and ways to do it. So the answer is yes and no. Depends on which one and what type of foundry.
Fabulous. All good information for our viewers. John Green, FL Sales, Cleveland, Ohio. Thanks for your time.
You got it. Thank you, David.